Sometimes when we try something new, we stumble. BGVP have done that with the Q3 wireless IEM. But it's not a complete failure. It's actually a sign of exciting things to come for BGVP and possibly for the entire wireless IEM industry. The Q3 is a wireless IEM or true wireless IEM in the same vein as many others. It's very affordable at just $100. It comes with decent tips and a charging case that's going to give you about 28 hours of use, coming in 7-hour blocks. So every time you charge the earbuds themselves, they will hold 7 hours of charge, and there's a total of 3 extra chargers within the charging case. The Q3 also has Bluetooth 5.3 with the low energy codec or BTLE, as well as a low latency gaming mode and aptX adaptive. So it's got all the specs that we need, but that's boring. But what's up here isn't. The MMCX sockets on the Q3s can be used for 2 functions. One of them is just for charging with an included USB-C to MMCX cable, so if for some reason you don't have the case with you, you can still charge the IEMs. What you can also do though is plug in a regular MMCX terminated IEM cable and use these for wired audio. Not boring. And it's lucky that the Q3 have this superpower, because they would be buried in the absolute pile of competitors out there if it weren't for those MMCX connectors. Let me explain why. In wireless mode, the sound from the Q3 is pretty mediocre. They offer some nice deep, punchy bass from the dynamic driver, but the balanced armatures used in the Q3 aren't really given a chance to shine. The mid-range is fine enough, but the treble lacks refinement and quality from those balanced armatures in the Q3. On some tracks, the Q3s, when you're using them in wireless mode, can be downright unenjoyable, and that's due to a sense of graininess and harshness in the top end. And that's a real shame, because the staging from the Q3s is generally quite good for an affordable IEM, and I think their tonal balance is generally quite good as well. It's really just that the quality of the top end is lacking, not anything else so much. I probably should mention that I also had trouble getting the Bluetooth Low Energy Codec or BTLE or Bluetooth LE, whatever you see it called. I had trouble getting that to work effectively on my Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra, which apparently is meant to be compatible. But what I found was that every time I tried to switch over to that codec in the Samsung Galaxy's menu system, what I then would have happen is that when I went to try to listen to music, the Q3s would disconnect and reconnect, and I'd never get to play anything.
Dance by myself like nobody's watching. Don't really care if my rhythm's off, 'cause I'm gonna dance.
Pairing disconnected. Connected. Disconnected. Connected. Disconnected. Connected. Disconnected. Connected.
It's very possible that this is not an issue with the IEMs, and I didn't dig deep enough to find out, because honestly I don't think they're a good enough IEM to warrant a lot of investment of time. Which is not to say they're bad, and we'll get to that in a second, but what I did want to say was that if you've used the Q3s in Bluetooth Low Energy mode, I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts on how it performed, whether it was stable, if you had connectivity issues, and which device or devices you managed to get them well with. Let us know in the comments down below. And so on a normal wireless IEM review, this would be the end, with me telling you that it's not a great IEM and that you should buy something else. But this isn't a normal wireless IEM. Before we get too excited here, I do think BGVP should have included a wired cable, a proper audio cable 3.5mm to dual MMCX. That's partly because it would have added value for customers on an IEM that can run in that mode, but it's also because customers are not going to be hearing the Q3 at their best without that cable. And if you judge these in their wireless mode, they're a bit of a letdown. For my testing, I happened to use a cable that's worth about 3 times the price of the Q3. It's just what I had on hand. You don't need to go that far. I was using an Effect Audio Eros S cable, but within reason, the quality of the cable doesn't matter so much. It's about the fact that you're bypassing the internal electronics of the Q3, because that's where I think the problems are coming from. With the hardwired connection, the Q3 is a far more proficient IEM. Fed by the FIO M23 portable music player, the Q3 suddenly became a decent and enjoyable enough listen for a budget IEM. Interestingly, the bass drops away a little bit when you're not using the internal circuitry, and that's because there'll be some DSP being done by the internal circuitry that drives the Bluetooth or the wireless mode of the Q3s, and that's very common, it's not unusual. Many earphones and headphones are actually tuned using DSP rather than acoustic tuning. In the case of the Q3, it seems it's mostly acoustically tuned with a little bit of extra bass added in via the DSP. And so I would like a little bit more bass than these have in their wired mode, particularly listening to a track like Problems, but they're still very enjoyable regardless. And the biggest reason for that is that the treble becomes so much more refined in wired mode. If you look at the graphs, they measure the same regardless of whether you're using the internal circuitry or an external drive, like a portable music player. But somewhere there's a quality issue coming through, at least on my set, from the internal drive circuitry in wireless mode. And so whether it's a budget dongle like an Apple dongle, or maybe something a little bit more premium like a Moondrop Dawn Pro, or if you're going all the way to a premium DAP digital audio player, I think the Q3 offers a nice IEM for the price. But things aren't all entirely rosy there either. As much as the Q3 shows some good capabilities when running wired, they still can't quite catch more affordable, pure wired options like the Kafine Delci, or Delci, not sure. With the wireless performance being mediocre at best, I'd probably rather have a dedicated wired pair like the Delci, and then also have a cheaper and probably better sounding wireless pair and just run two different sets. You'd probably end up spending around about $130 for that entire setup, and of course you haven't got the convenience where you've just got one device, you're going to be carrying two, but at the same time you're going to be getting much better sound quality on both fronts. Having said all that, and as I said at the beginning, the Q3 is not a failure. It's just a stumble, as I said at the start. BGVP have shown what's possible here. They've basically run a perfect race, only to stumble at the final turn. They'll learn from this, the next version will be better, and that's exciting. Imagine having an IEM that gives you great portable audio when you're more interested in having a wireless experience for convenience and mobility rather than maybe the absolute peak of audio quality. And then imagine those same IEMs giving you the perfection and the high resolution of a wired connection when you're in a position to favour the sound quality over the portability and the lack of wires. That to me is a really exciting prospect. And so I'm not recommending the Q3 for now, but I am recommending that we all keep an eye on BGVP in the future. Having said that, if you want to know more about the Q3, how the wireless and wired technology works, I'll put links in the description down below. You can go and check them out for yourself. As always, a huge thanks to channel members, to channel Patreon members, and to those of you that leave super thanks on videos like this one. Now, if you do want a great affordable IEM solution and the Q3 is not the answer for you, I'll put a link up here through to what I think is one of the best portable audio solutions on the market. So check that video out next. But for now, happy listening, be kind to each other, and I'll see you here next time on Passion for Sound.